Are you a determined and ambitious woman entrepreneur seeking to elevate your selling skills? Then I have a training for you. It's called How Any Woman Can Confidently Close Any Deal in a One-on-One Sales Call in Any Business or Industry. In this training, you'll be shown 3 techniques that you can immediately apply to your consultation calls and improve your close rate. This is a live training with me, and there's going to be an opportunity to ask questions. So come get yourself registered right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/close. Easy, right? Okay, I'm going to see you there.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Roush, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush. Today's episode is a part of the Mastering Excellence series. This concept comes from my background in neuro-linguistic programming, where we learn that there is a structure to excellence. And once you understand the structure, you can then apply it to your own life and business so that you get similar results. And I'm so excited. My guest today is Jennifer Bradley. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Jennifer. First and foremost, she's an entrepreneur from Michigan. Her journey started in 2010 when she began her career as a speech-language pathologist. Faced with budget constraints for therapy resources while working with children, she began creating her own therapy materials, eventually venturing into selling them on Teachers Pay Teachers. Recognizing the need for greater control of her own business, Jennifer started a membership in 2017 for speech therapists. She grew that community to 1,500 members before deciding to sell the business in 2023. Now, Jennifer is starting a new venture, Not Simply Mom, and it's a platform that's designed to empower stay-at-home moms to build their own online businesses. And in addition to her entrepreneurial endeavors, Jennifer is a dedicated wife and mother of 3, Ariana, Owen, and David. Beyond her love of online business and creativity, she finds joy in vacationing and spending quality time with family and friends. Jennifer Bradley, welcome to the show, friend.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so honored that you said yes to doing this interview. I want to give the audience, the people listening, a little bit of background about us.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we officially met, I want to say it was in 2018.
I think so, around that year at the conference, I think.
At the conference,
Yes.
Yeah. So we were both coaching. We had the same coach or coaches, I guess at the time. It was a husband and wife team. And Jennifer was like their total rock star, like success story. And I remember when, I doubt you remember this, but we did, like, before the conference opened, there was a little private kind of get together in their suite. And some of us got invited to it. And I remember when you came in the room, everybody was like, "Oh, that's Jennifer Bradley." Like, it was like super success story. And I will say I felt a little intimidated. I'm like, oh my gosh, look what she's done. It was so amazing. You're amazing. And
well, thank you. I kind of felt the same way about you because I had heard so much about you in the whole coaching program. So same.
That's so funny. And then there was another couple really amazing ladies that were at the same conference. And one of them had this brilliant idea to start a mastermind for those of us that had memberships. And so this collective group of 5 of us was born, and we still meet all these years later. We still meet usually about once a month, but we try to meet once a month. We used to meet every 2 weeks or something. And then we were all like, oh my gosh. But so I will say I've had this kind of outsider's perspective, but I got to like be kind of in the cheap seats, watching you continue to grow your membership, but then deciding to sell your membership and going through that huge, like it was quite a thing. So I would love if you would talk a little bit about that before we actually dig into our topic today of like, what is it like to actually sell your business and make money selling your business? Like that's a big deal. And I don't know a lot of people who have sold their businesses.
Yeah, it was definitely a process. I had, and I know you know this, had been thinking for a couple years that it just wasn't my passion anymore. You know, when I started out with the membership, I absolutely loved it, wanted to work on it all the time. And I got burnt out and I could feel it, but I just wanted to wait for a little bit and keep it around and continue to try to work on it, thinking I'd get my passion back for it. But after 2 years, it just was like not coming back. So that is kind of when I decided to sell. And as you talked about, our coaches had sold their business prior. So I reached out to them and just kind of wanted to see what the process was like. And they introduced me to a broker who, I guess, kind of like a real estate broker. They take a percentage of the sale. So you pay them after, which is nice. But and they have a whole list of people who buy businesses, but it was definitely a process. It was months of meeting with potential buyers and investors and answering so many questions about the business. You know, they'd tear the business apart half the time because obviously they wanted to bring the price down. And so it was a little bit hard emotionally because, you know, that's your baby that you've grown. And
Yeah.
it was very intense. And then when you get the buyer, just all the details and the legal stuff and the money and the being in the back end of your site and everything. It just was pulling together a lot of work from previous years and organizing so much stuff that I probably should have had organized beforehand. But yeah, it was, I think it ended up being around 9 months of work to sell the business, but still happy that I did it. After I sold it, I knew it was the right move because I don't regret selling it at all.
Such a good thing.
Yeah, because I was afraid of that.
I do remember you sharing with us some of the questions that potential buyers were asking and the amount of data that you had to provide. And I had this conversation with somebody recently, and it was like, if you really want to get your business in shape and know every little detail about it, prepare to sell it.
Yes.
Because the kind of information that you were sharing with us that you were having to dig into and the reports and it was unbelievable. But
yes,
what an incredible experience to know that one, you built something that somebody would pay money for, that it wasn't just, you know, a business that like supported like, oh, it was nice, it was making money, but it was like, oh no, this is a business that somebody else can step into and continue to make money on. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was. And it was kind of shocking that, you know, when you actually sell it, it's like, wait, I built this and somebody actually wanted to buy it from me. It was a weird feeling. So, but it was cool.
That's huge. Yeah, it was very cool. And I will say, again, being the outsider, but getting to like have a little bit of a bird's eye view of kind of what you were doing, I was like, well, what's she going to do next?
Yeah.
Because you're very young, right? Like it's not like you're ready for retirement by any stretch of the imagination. And at the same time, it was a pretty nice amount of money that you got for your business and gave you guys some freedom as a family to make some decisions.
Yes.
And so this is kind of where we're going in the conversation is like, how do you come up with your next business idea? Because I think whether you've sold your business or if you've just lost the passion for your business, this is something that I think people will find hopefully some real value in. And I'm super excited to dig into this conversation with you because that was also something that I got to be, again, kind of the outsider looking in as you went through this process of coming up with what your next idea was.
Yes. Yeah, it was definitely a process.
And there was lots of, you know, like things like, should I do this? Should I do that? And there was a lot of discussion in our group too about like giving you some feedback on different things. And then when you have now kind of settled on what is the thing that really lights you up, which is the not simply mom, this idea of, you know, stay-at-home moms that really do want to contribute and want to have something for themselves that isn't just And not that there's anything wrong with being a stay-at-home
Right.
mom
But
by
that's,
any stretch of the imagination, but for some women, they want something more.
yes, absolutely. And that's where I was. And that's kind of how it came about, was just, I was a stay-at-home mom for a little bit, and I needed something of my own, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to go back to work full time because I didn't really love my job. And that's kind of where I just stumbled into online business. And I know we had talked about before, I love helping people with online business. I love talking about it just
Mm-hmm.
because it's a passion of mine. So I knew I wanted to do something from there. It just was a matter of who my customer was going to be and what I exactly want to teach them. So that was a whole process too.
Yeah. And you have so much to offer. It's kind of one of those things, like when you have so many skill sets, it can be hard to narrow down and go like, okay, I can do so many things, not
Right.
to mention like how many resources that you have and your ability to build resources. Like I don't know if you're a quick start. Are you a quick start? Do you know that on the Kobe?
Mhm. I don't know that one.
Okay. I wonder what you are, but I feel like because
Oh,
you
I'm
can
sure.
just like
Like,
go and create stuff and be like, okay, now here I have 10 resources. And
yeah.
I'm often like, what? Like a
Which
month
can
ago,
be
she didn't have
problem.
any resources. Like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. So,
Yeah.
anyway, all right. So, we're going to dig into the questions here, which is how to come up with your next business idea. So, I'd love to just kind of hear from your perspective. If I were to stand in for you for a day and I get to be Jennifer, like how lucky would I be first? And then
Oh,
second, um, what what would I have to think or what would I have to do when I am trying to come up with my next business idea? Like, how did you go about this? What was the
so in the
process?
beginning, I'm, as you know, the person to just jump in without thinking. I have ideas. I'm a very creative person, so ideas come naturally to me, but I jump too quick without thinking them through. So that was one of my problems in online business, is every idea I had, I just wanted to do. And it caused a lot of stress and extra work. So one of the things that you guys actually gave me during one of our mastermind calls was to not do anything for a few months after I sold my business. So I think that's a big one, though, is just to take time, especially if you're a serial starter of ideas and things, to just take time to figure out what you actually want to do before jumping in. So that was really my first step, is just, to do other things and just let myself think. And then think about, I knew I wanted to help people with business in some way, whether it was marketing or branding or websites. And we have a co-working space, so a brick and mortar place. And so at first I thought maybe I wanted to help small business owners who are, in small downtowns grow their businesses.
Hmm.
Just through being down there, I realized how much small business owners of brick and mortar stores don't know about the online world, and they really do help each other. So I thought maybe I wanted to do that. But I just wasn't feeling the passion. So I think when I knew I wasn't feeling the passion, I knew my customer was wrong.
Hmm.
So then I took some more time of, who do I want my customer to be? And then I was thinking just moms in general. Well, that's a huge audience. And I knew, okay, like what type of moms? Well, I knew the stay-at-home mom world, and that's kind of where I started my journey. So I think for me, knowing who my avatar was really well, made me more passionate about it and made me want to do it more, work with those people. And so I think that's a big thing, is passion,
Mm.
for the business. Like if you're just looking to make money out of it, you're going to hate it along the way. And so I wanted to have something that I actually wanted to work on every day, not something that I was forcing myself to work on. So that's kind of where the stay-at-home moms plus the online business world meshed well. And that's kind of how I came up with my new idea. So I think there's a lot of steps in the process, but the biggest one for me was what you're passionate about.
I love that. That's one of the things that it really attracts me to working with um, women entrepreneurs is I always say they're filled with passion. And
Hmm.
coming from my corporate background, like I didn't really understand that concept. When people would
Yeah.
say like, follow your passion, I
Yeah.
used to always feel like I must be dead inside because I don't have any passion. And it
Yes.
really wasn't until I started hanging around women entrepreneurs that I was like, oh my gosh, like
Mm-hmm.
here's people filled with passion.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to be around, and still to this day, I just want to be around people who are filled with passion for what they
Yeah.
do. And now I have found within myself
Mm-hmm.
who I really did think there was something missing or that I was just dead
Yeah.
inside. This
And it's
idea of
hard
like,
to
there's
work
no
like that.
passion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Doesn't make
love
you
that.
excited. Yeah.
And there was, and I just want to point out too, just for my own thing, is that it's not always obvious what you're passionate
Mm-hmm.
about. You kind of
Yeah.
have to go down some roads, which I know you did, because I know we talked about different ideas and different avatars in the
Mm-hmm.
group about like, could it be this or what about that? And
Right.
of like figuring out like, again, yes, you could help brick and mortar.
Yes.
Yes, you could help moms. And,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like, but what really lit you up? And when you came back with this concept to us of like,
Mm-hmm.
not simply mom,
Yeah.
like you could hear it. You could hear like, oh, she's found it. This is her
That's
thing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
her thing for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some next steps then? What did you do next once you've decided on your avatar? What came next for you?
So the next thing was kind of figuring out what they need, and what I could help them with so that they actually needed my stuff and would purchase it. Because I think a big issue sometimes with online businesses is they don't, or even just businesses in general, think about what their avatar needs, or trying to think of how to phrase it. Sometimes your avatar thinks they need something, but they actually need something else, and you have to sell them what they think they need,
Mm-hmm.
and then teach them once they get in what
Mm-hmm.
they actually need. So I think figuring that out, and as you know, I kind of launched the wrong way where I was thinking, oh, well, this is what I know they need, but my avatar actually doesn't know they need that yet. And so when
Mm-hmm.
I launched to them, it was crickets, because they don't, for me, I just was teaching them, oh, I'm going to teach you how to have an online business. And it's this big world out there. And when I really put myself back into their position, it's way overwhelming. So I had to kind of take a step back and say, okay, what do they think they need? They need a step-by-step process of exactly what type of online business to have. And then from there, they can expand out. So even, having all these years of entrepreneur experience, sometimes it's like easy to forget that, oh, I want to sell them this because I know this will help them. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's just too broad of an idea or too big, and you really have
Mm-hmm.
to narrow it down. So
Yeah.
currently I'm narrowing it down.
Yeah, you're definitely in the process of kind of like reworking some
Mm-hmm.
things to really speak to what do they think they need right now. And I think
Yeah.
that's such an important distinction, because when you are an expert at something,
Mhm.
it's easy to go, this is the answer. Like
Yes.
here's how you get the answer. And
Mhm.
people are like, but that wasn't my question.
Right. Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
you go, but it should have been your question. It's like, well, people aren't
Yeah.
going to respond to that. Like you
Mhm.
can't say to somebody, well, you should have asked a better question, because they don't know
Right.
how to ask a better question yet.
Yes.
And frankly, they'll be offended when you say it like that,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
so I love this idea of, figuring this out, because again, also giving yourself permission to test some things and try some things
Mm.
without beating yourself up, because yes, you built this incredibly successful membership. You sold it. You
Mhm.
have quite like, it's a pretty big feather in your cap, I think. I know
Oh,
you're,
thank you.
those of you who are just meeting Jennifer for the first time, she's incredibly humble. Like
Oh,
that's one of the things I notice about you
yeah.
is
That's
you're
what you talked
so
about.
humble
Oh, thanks.
and introverted. I know that you
Mhm.
identify yourself as that way. And I would almost say maybe even a little bit shy,
Mhm.
as I've gotten to
Definitely.
know you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that it's not easy for her to like toot her own horn, but yet what she has accomplished for most of us business owners is something that we all would think, oh my gosh, if somebody wanted to show up and pay this kind of money for my business, I would be just floored and honored and she's done it. And then now here she is doing this next thing and still having to try and test things out and remember and remind yourself of like, okay, I know how to do this. I just need to take the skills that I used over here to build this successful business and bring them over to this other business. But there are some things to tweak. And so you have to be willing to give yourself some grace along the way. And I think anytime you're doing something new, sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is I think everybody has those moments of, okay, this is a failure. You know, when I sold my business, I was thinking maybe I was just a one-hit wonder. Like, do I sell my business and then be failure at every other business? You know, that gets in, I don't know, that got in my head a lot. So when this first initial launch went terribly for me, I had to just pedal back and say, okay, it doesn't mean that this business, I should just scrap it. It means that I just need something different than my avatars are looking for something different. And I just have to give it to them. So I think not giving up when things fail, when you think they're going to do well, because sometimes and I know we've talked about this, sometimes it's the ideas that you're like, it's an okay idea, but I don't think anyone will like it. And then that one explodes. So you really never know.
Yeah.
It's just trying a lot.
Are you ready to uplevel your sales game? Well, here is a gift for you. It is the Mastering the Sales Conversation mini training. This training gives you my proven step-by-step approach to sales so that you can go from that overwhelmed and intimidated approach that you have to sales to feeling confident and leading a conversation so that you easily guide somebody to hiring you. You can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/mastering. This is my gift to you. Go grab it now. Yeah, I know even in our group, because we are masterminding all the time with each other. And there are times where I'll bring an idea to the group and I'll be really excited. And I like to see your guys' faces where it's like, what? Like, huh? And actually there was some feedback that you guys gave me in the last time we were together as a group. And I was like, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And the other three that were on the call in that time were like, oh no, Nikki, like, no. Like maybe we need to tweak this a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's so helpful to have people, I think, to bounce ideas off of as well. I know that we do that as a group, but do you have other support in that way? Do you have other people that you seek out to get feedback from?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have a couple of friends from my initial Teachers Pay Teachers journey who I still talk to every so often on Voxer. We don't actually meet as a mastermind, but I'll throw ideas out to them too, just because we've known each other for so long. And then my husband, because he's also an entrepreneur, and you definitely have to have, especially in this entrepreneur world, friends who are doing the same thing because nobody else really understands you. I always laugh because I feel like people, when I say I'm an entrepreneur, they think I'm just unemployed and I don't have a job, you know?
Yes.
Because it's such a general word and people just don't get how much work and mental toughness and stuff it takes. And so it's definitely helps to have those people.
Yeah. And you're right. Like you need to surround yourself with people that are kind of in that same world as you. I just had this conversation with one of my clients recently where she went to an event and everybody at the event worked in an organization. And so when she talked about like who she was or what she did, they were like, yeah, but who do you work for? Like it did not compute. And I had a similar experience years ago. It was a speaking gig and I was meeting the other speakers. They had like a speaker get together one night and nobody could understand when I was, they were like, yeah, but wait, what? Like, who do you work for? And I was like, I'm my own business. Like I own my own business. And they were like, okay. And I felt like in their mind, I was nothing. Like, oh, let's not even talk. Like, why waste your time even talking to her? Like, she's nothing. And I'm thinking like, Okay. Like this is such an
Hmm.
interesting experience. So, but yet you go into groups like what we have in our mastermind and we're all here, like we can speak the same language, which I
Yes.
think is so important.
And I think that's huge too. It's like also even just past entrepreneurship of what kind of area in entrepreneurship they're in.
Hmm.
Because like I said, we have our co-working space in a downtown, and the brick and mortar entrepreneurs are a lot different than the online business entrepreneurs. And
Hmm.
that I've just kind of noticed. And like you said, it's funny because, I had this one brick and mortar person in the city was kind of just like, well, you don't know really anything about websites, and I was like, well, actually,
Well, yeah.
but it's just different. And to them, websites is a different meaning than what it is to me. My websites are more for creating money on the website. Theirs is to sell and get people into their store. And so I
Hmm.
think having those personal or that niche area is very helpful too, because you get things more.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I love that. Okay, so what if anything, I know we talked about, figuring out your avatar, figuring out like what do they think they need. What's like what did you do next to like really launch your business, this next business, like or come up with that next business idea? What was the next thing you did?
I think that, I mean, I'm kind of in the process of doing that, but
Hmm.
going into the uncomfortable. And again, I know we talked about it in our mastermind, but like you said, I'm more of an introvert. I love being behind my computer doing my own thing, and in one of the courses I'm taking, it just talks about reaching out to people and doing more joint ventures with people and working with people and getting on podcasts and, reaching out cold to people. And that is just 100% not my thing. And so that is something that I'm doing now that is really uncomfortable for me to do, but I know that it's going to significantly grow the membership
Hmm.
if I do that. So I think just being okay with being uncomfortable and just doing it and getting it over with, because it becomes easier after the first couple. But I think
Yeah.
that's a huge thing, next step that I'm currently working on, and not
Yeah.
to get too comfortable with doing the same things over and over.
Yeah. Being uncomfortable it feels like it's like there's so many other things you would rather do, right?
Mhm.
But
Yes.
you know that it's something that is going to make a difference. And I know we've talked about like what that is and how to
Mhm.
communicate that. And that was one of the catalysts too of like, okay, come on my podcast because I
Yes.
want
Yes.
I want you to talk about this journey and what this means. Because I think so many people need to hear what is
Mhm.
it like when you're ready to shift gears for whatever reason, whether it's because the business isn't working or if it's because you really feel passionate about something else, or in Jennifer's case, like you sold the business. So you do need that
Right.
next opportunity or that next thing that you want to do.
Mhm.
But um, the other thing that I want to ask about, because I know this again from having some
Mhm.
insider to you and what you're doing is you also go and learn. Like
Yes.
you don't just try to figure everything out on your own. Like
Mhm.
you have put yourself through quite a few courses.
Mhm.
You have really gained some significant knowledge over the last few months because you bring that back to the group and you share with us the
Yeah.
things that you're learning and the things that you're implementing. So I just want to speak to that a little bit if you would, or I want you actually to speak to that. This idea of like what drives you in that way of like what are you going to go learn next and how do you decide who to learn from and what even prompts you to be like, okay, I'm going to find an expert in this.
Yeah. I think, I guess for me, almost the most important thing in this entrepreneur world, or even in owning your own business world, is getting some type of coaching or courses to go through, because or even if you work for somebody else, really, if you can always get better. And I think if you're not always working on getting better and learning more in your field, then you're going to get passed up by the people who are. And I don't want to be that person getting passed up, you know? And so I have spent, I would never want to add it up, how much money on courses and getting coached by people, but I have made 10 times more than that by doing that. So if I didn't, I don't think, like if I never got coached by our original coaches and never took their course, I wouldn't even had a business to sell at that point because I wouldn't have learned all those things, you know? And even after selling a business, it's like, I still have a lot to learn, you know, things are changing all the time. So might as well learn from the person who's above me.
Yeah.
And knows more than me.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's super important.
I really love and admire that about you, your dedication to continuing to hone your own skills and bring these new experiences, these new things that you're learning into your business. I always say I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm constantly looking, and I know that, again, I share in our group often of like, okay, just signed up for another coaching package. Like I'm doing this now, right? Like, I feel like we're both kind of in that similar trajectory where we're both like, okay, I'm doing this course or I'm doing this, you know, coaching program or whatever, just to be learning and to up level your skills. And I love how you said, like, you don't want to be passed over. Me either. I can so relate to that.
So it's a little bit of competitive, but yeah, it's also just, what else could I do in this? You know, what else could I fix? And I love that you said in our mastermind that you talk about how, you know, I just signed up for another thing, because I feel like if I told my friends and family how much I spend on courses and coaching, they would die. Hearing the numbers. But in our little mastermind, it was like, well, it was this much money. And everyone's like, yeah, it's a lot, but we know it's worth it. You know, if you find the person, you know, it's worth it, then you're going to make it back in the end.
Yeah. I don't often share what I pay for my coaching and things like that. But when I have, especially people outside of my really tight community, they look at me like I am insane. And it's like, but I earn that back. Like it comes back. It's an investment. I do believe in investing.
It's more of an investment than it's not just a blowing it on something.
No, I mean, I could definitely probably buy a car with what I spend for on coaching.
I know.
I could definitely buy a nice car. But I earn that money back. Like it comes back in multiples. So,
and even if it's just one little tip, sometimes it's like, I'll take this whole course and I only get one little tip out of it, but that tip was huge in my business. So
yeah. I love that about you. Okay. Anything we haven't covered yet that you want to make sure that we chat about with this idea of coming up with your next business idea?
I mean, I think just in general with any type of skill that you're working on or thing that you're growing, it really is like finding something you enjoy doing. And I was with the passion thing, I was talking to a friend recently about this, and because she's looking at doing something new and trying to find it. And she's like, well, I don't have the passion that I did with this last business. And we were talking about how you may not have the exact same passion starting out, but as you grow it, it becomes kind of like your baby and you grow it more and you get more excited about it. So something just starting out that you enjoy doing, and then that passion sometimes will grow with it. And just the overall not stopping just because something goes wrong, because it happens a lot. And the coaching, I think those are the biggest things with starting something new.
Well, thank you so much for what you've shared and for being willing to come on the podcast and have this conversation. I'm so glad that you said yes. I've been wanting actually to have this conversation on the podcast with you for a while. So I was kind of waiting for you to decide on what were you going to do so that we could talk about it. But yeah, I'm really honored that you said yes. All right. So I do like to end the podcast with a few questions. I call it the little something extra, if you're okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Asking. So one of the questions I'd love to ask people is, what's something that brings you joy right now?
Honestly, this sounds really lame, but working on my business.
Okay.
I mean, I just
I love
enjoy
it.
doing it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What is something people would be surprised to learn about you? I feel like I've already shared a lot of your secrets, but what's something people
Um,
would be surprised?
um, it's kind of a little bit embarrassing, but
Okay. You don't have to share, but if you want
I'm
to.
Mal well, people always are like, "What?" I'm Maltese, and my grandpa was from Malta, and he really wanted one of his granddaughters to do this Miss Malta pageant. No bathing suit or anything or talent. It was just a question and a dress. But I did this Miss Malta pageant for you and or for him, and then I ended up being Miss Malta. So
I did not know this.
yes, and I went to Malta with him. I got a trip there and stuff. So that's a kind of a secret that not a ton of people
Oh
know.
my gosh, that's so
Yes,
fun to learn about you.
yes.
And now I'm like, do I get to see a picture?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, luckily I wouldn't have done it if there was like talent and bathing suit and all that. It literally just like a question. Answer the question, talk about yourself, and that was it. So
All right, we're talking to Miss Malta today, folks. I love this so
yeah,
much. This is so fun to learn this about you. All right, what's something exciting going on in your business right now? There's so many things I know,
I
but
know.
like what are you really like lit up about right now?
Honestly, just kind of creating the different courses for my
Hmm.
customers and just thinking about like what they need and just that creative process for me is really fun. Just finding out what they need, creating the course, the content, and then launching it. That's what I get really excited for.
One of the things that I know, I don't know if you even want to show, we can cut this out if you want, but one of the things I'm really excited about your new concept of Not
Mhm.
Simply Mom is that you've created these like mini video trainings
Mhm.
that don't require a mom to have to sit down for even 20 minutes to get through
Yes.
content. That it's like, okay, they've got five minutes, maybe 10 right
Mhm.
now. And you've created this like really cool stuff that they can actually move forward with getting to the place where they're bringing money into the family
Yes.
just in these tiny little like snippets.
Yep.
It's such a
Yes.
cool format that you have for your
Thanks. I
program.
think it actually came within our mastermind. Somebody suggested it, but yeah, it's 5-minute course trainings and then they
Yeah.
get 10 minutes of work time and there's activities for the kids to do while they're doing it. So it's kind
It's
of just
so
really getting
smart.
into the mind of the customer and what they need.
Yeah.
So,
It's
yeah.
so smart. I'm
Thanks.
so excited about it. All right. And how can somebody listening right now connect with you? Because there might be a mom listening right now or somebody that's like, I need my next
Mhm.
business idea and I want to learn from Jennifer. Because I will say, if you're looking to learn from somebody right now, she is a wealth of knowledge.
Oh, thank
So
you.
what's the best way?
I've actually set up a free quarterly goals and priorities download mini course.
Mm,
I always do every quarter, set up for your listeners. And it's if you go to notsiemplymom.com/salesmaven, you can download that for free. But yeah, that's where my website is notsiemplymom.com.
awesome. Thank you so much for giving that. I know Jennifer actually shared this with the other mastermind group, what a version of what you're giving
Mhm.
the audience, and it's awesome. You want it. So go
Oh,
get it
thanks.
because
Thanks.
she builds really amazing things. And I know over the years she shared different resources with us in the group of the things that she uses. And this is one you want to go grab. So go get it. So notsimplymom.com/salesmaven.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you, friend.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And for you, the listener, I hope you got something great out of today and feel inspired by something that Jennifer has shared. Maybe you want to start thinking about selling your business, or maybe you want to start thinking about switching and finding that passion and or figuring out like what does your client think they want right now and how can you give them a version of that to get them in the door so you can give them what they really need. So any of that, would love to hear. Connect with Jennifer and I on social media and or reach out to me and let me know what was your biggest takeaway from today's episode. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills. Are you
ready to increase your confidence in your sales conversations? I have a gift for you that is going to show you exactly how to do that. It is my Closing the Sale ebook. It's all about leveling up your confidence, giving you language to use, how to seamlessly move somebody through the sales process. And you can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it.